walks amongst you, all you tired human beings. And he's got all the things a cripple has, not two working arms and legs. Vital parts fall from his system and dissolve in Scottish rain. But vitally he doesn't miss them, he's too fucked up to care. Is that you in front of me? Coming back for even more, be exactly the same. You must be a masochist. You love a modern leper in his last leg, on his last. Well, I've crippled your heart 100 times and still can't work out why. I've got this disease that I can't shake, and I'm just rattling through life. This is how we do things now. This is how the moderns stay scared. So I cut out all the good stuff. Well, I cut off my fruit to spite my leg. Is that you in front of me? Coming back for even more, exactly the same. You must be a masochist. You love a modern leper on his last leg. Well, I am ill, but I'm not dead. And I don't know which of those I'd prefer, because that limb which I have lost, it was the only thing holding me up, holding me up. I'm lying on the ground now, and you walking through the only door. Well, I have lost my eyesight like I said I would, but I still know that is you in front of me. And you're back for even more, I'm exactly the same. Who are you? A masochist. You love a modern leper on his last leg. And you're not ill, and I'm not dead. But doesn't that make us the perfect pair? And you should sit with me, and we'll start again. And you can tell me all about what you did today, what you did today.
Tyler, are we on? All right, everybody. Welcome to this. I don't know. We don't know what we're going to call it or what we are calling it, but welcome to this. Thank you so much. This turnout is absolutely overwhelming. On behalf of my family here who's sitting in the front row, thank you so much for all of the love and support that you've shown us over the course of the last, well, forever, but especially these last few months and then this last week. It's been helpful, and it really has been a long part of helping us get through. We do have a guest book all the way at the front door on your way out on the right, and I haven't been by there in a while, there were a stack of the posters. If you want one, please take one. But please sign the guest book on the way out so that my parents, who've been overwhelmed and haven't necessarily had a chance to speak to everybody, will know who was here. Now, the reason that we're here instead of at a traditional visitation is that Elliott a couple of weeks ago said specifically he wanted this. He wanted everybody to come and gather here. He wanted people to laugh and joke and make fun of him and tell stories and have a couple of beers. He said in a perfect world he'd had 40 Ubers lined up to take people home. So absolutely, please be careful. We can't take another loss in our community right now. We can't do it. So be careful getting home tonight. But that's why we're here, because these were his specific wishes for us to be here and do exactly this. So thank you all so much for coming. What we're going to do here is we have a few people who have prepared some things. We're going to let them talk first. We have a video from one of Elliott's best friends, Stephen, who couldn't be here because he's in New Jersey in the middle of a trial. We're going to fit it in somewhere technologically. It might take a minute, so we may audible. But before we leave this room, if anybody wants to get up here and talk and tell their favorite Elliott story or just share a thought about Elliott, you're invited to get up here and do this. So please don't hesitate. Otherwise, there's really nothing left to do. It's our thing now to say pour one out, but he would say, fuck that, drink it. So, to Elliott. Tom, you're up.
All right. I'm supposed to be good at this. I think I'm the only one that actually wrote something, and I will just say that I felt like, as two people that had to give speeches our whole goddamn lives, Elliott would appreciate it being done right. At least one, not that no one else is going to be right, but he needed the proper, so I'll do my best. It's also dark up here. I'm sorry for the manuscript. Well, folks like, and they originally said Elle and Joe, but Elle and Joe and Wayne and all of the people from debate, we've been properly trained to shoot bullshit out of our hands like Spider-Man webs, but I'm going to try to get this one right and just read to you for a minute. I promise it's going to end up funny, I swear. In the last weeks, especially the last few days, I've wanted to scream at everyone and say, you don't know him like I did. You didn't know him as long as I did. There's no way you could grasp our friendship. But I'm wrong. Elliott was everybody's best friend, and every relationship counts, and everybody has a story, so here's mine. I met Elliott when he was 11 years old, and I was 15. He was my student at summer debate camp at my high school, and goddamn, he was annoying. After high school, our team at Bama championed him as deserving of a scholarship. In retrospect, we probably didn't need to do that. As a senior, I got in trouble for not doing my work. And our coach said as my punishment, I had to debate with Elliott, the other laziest person on the team. And I said, cool. But I'm glad. I'm very glad because we did really well. And people from around the country love to come and watch the Fatty and Skinny show, as I used to like to call it. And over the years, I've lived with Elliott during the summer when I taught at the university and was living in Nashville. When I moved to China, my life exploded after my father died, and the Chinese overlords went bananas, and I went totally cuckoo. Elle and Joe saved me, and Brian and Elle let me move back to Alabama where I still live today. So I literally owe Elliott my life. Let's see where I am. Okay. Elliott made me go to the hospital when I got back, and he had one promise that I had to make him, which was don't die on his couch. Mission accomplished. Thanks, man. That was 2017. Until October, Elliott and Brian and I lived together in our own little dysfunctional family. And our house is filled with all of his stuff right now, and it's tough. But as sad as I am, yes, sir? Well, I had to make it was one page, but I had to increase it in size. It's now 2 because it was too small for me to read. Today was the day that I caved in and said 12-point font, no more. I went to 16 today. Okay. I'm sad, but it was worth it. I kept his secrets. He kept mine, mostly. We shared money. We shared clothes. Mostly I just stole his shit. This is his hat. Well, we cooked together, we schemed together, we comforted each other through breakups, we listened to music, we went to shows and movies, and we watched the West Wing and Bama games. One time we even split a pair of headphones in half to listen to a Bama game on the radio in Chicago, and we made a cute couple huddled together, I'm told by everyone. I need my beer. We fought all the damn time, like brothers do. And we drank together. So I got one thing to say, everybody. Social.
Toast him. Toast him.
So rather than telling you a whole bunch of stories like when I interrupted him getting it on in a hotel stairwell with the girl in San Diego, or when Joe kicked his ass in Nashville and shoved snow in his face, or how I was calling every Sunday to hear maniacal Elliott and Bo devising the master plan of a brewery in their driveway, I got a lot. I could even choose all the things we did together in this last year and a half when he was so goddamn sad and just getting sicker and sicker every day. Those are stories too. I mean, when else would I be able to witness someone fart from the door of good people all the way to the bathroom in a constant stream? I promise you those people remember that. But instead, I've just got one story. Last week, before he was unable to use his phone well, I was texting him and bugging him about getting up from his hospital bed to walk around, which he needed to do. He told me he wanted to, but he felt like puking. Now, it's important for the story to know that he loved the television show The Mandalorian, the Star Wars show. The damn thing, new season started today, if you can believe it. And he used to quote it to me all the time, and he would say, "This is the way," which is what the Mandalorian would say all of the time to acknowledge you had to do hard things in life. So I said, "What would the Mandalorian do, Elliott?" And Elliott texted back in his last text to me ever, "Puke and rally." So hey, in the coming months and days and years and decades and centuries that you're sad, I ask that you remember his advice, puke and rally. One last thing, to settle the score he and I could never get over, the problem that lasted between us for 20 plus years. It was the redhead I brought home from the booth who peed on your futon. It was not me. Roll Tide, L.
By the way, Tom's lying. It was him. Tom also told me it was impolite to read off my phone, so I'll... bad form. Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Brian Crumpton, or Crumpet back in the day. I'm an adult with a job, so I just prefer that stay in the past. You really can't see anything because of that light. It's kind of cool tonight to see a lot of folks from Alabaster, where we grew up, here, folks that I haven't seen in, 20 years or plus. Alexis, Brian Shanahan, Brian Grillo, Brian Roberts, who I have seen, Brian Crumpton. Everybody from Alabaster in that time was named Brian except for Elliott and Alexis. When I got here today, Elliott and I shared an apartment on Hackberry Place, I don't know, years ago, and it reminded me of a story that I did not even think about to prepare, that we moved into this place over the weekend, and the cable company couldn't show up until, 2 weeks to 5 weeks, Nick. Yeah. So for whatever reason, we had to have TV that day. So a Sunday morning, we woke up early at like daybreak, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and went outside and tried to figure out how we could steal cable to get us by until the company could come do it. Elliott discovers that the coax, which I think was all it was unplugged at the top of the power pole. So, all right, one of us climbs up to the power pole. It wasn't going to be me because I hate heights, so absolutely not. So Elliott climbs to the top of this power pole, plugs in coax, and I don't think we paid for cable the 2.5, 3 years we lived there. They may still get free cable over there. I don't know. Yeah. So, and I don't know who the carrier should have been, and probably don't want. I don't know what statute of limitations on that is. So, that may or may not be a true story. As I mentioned, we grew up in Alabaster. I've known Elliott and Alexis and Brian, all the Bryans. We've known Elliott since we were in preschool. We grew up in Alabaster when Alabaster was a cool place. It had dirt roads, and it didn't have state championship football trophies falling off the walls. It was a fun place to grow up, and it's kind of amazing that Elliott and I have stayed, best friends, brothers, and much less in contact since that time. Linda was more of a mother to me than mine was in my formative years, and I've never forgotten that. And Tommy put up with me, and I don't know why. And one of the reasons I don't know why, and you probably don't know this story, and Linda, I hope you have forgotten it. So I'm going to remind you, when we were, and let me just back up to Elliott in middle school, elementary, and high school. Elliott was cliqueless, if you know what I mean. Every high school's got cliques, jocks, nerds, goth, whatever. Elliott was friends with all of them. He was such a nice guy. He genuinely was a caring person that everybody loved Elliott, regardless of what social status you happen to have at your school at that time. So Elliott and I are in middle school on the, Scholars Bowl team, after school at practice, and Kane Martin and I, and I'll throw him in the under the bus because he's not here, decided it would be a good idea to take his books and put one in every trash can at the middle school and then run his backpack up the flagpole. And Linda, I think I still may have a scar from where you beat me for that, but because Linda came to pick us up and was not happy that what we had done. But to know Elliott is to love him. It's so cool to see the mix of people here, from high school friends, college friends, grotto friends, and if you know what that means, great. If you don't, the statute is definitely not up on the limitations of that. And it's funny, when the pictures were going around, and I don't know if they're still going, a lot of us did not have a lot of pictures together because there was no flash photography at the grotto. So pictures were limited. This will be the story that, when I think of Elliott, this is what I will think of, because of the kind of guy he was, the kind of friend he was to me. It was October the 30th, 2003. My father passed away unexpectedly. The first person I called was Elliott. After my brother, I called Elliott. And Elliott tells me later he could not understand what I was saying on the phone. I was in Montgomery, Alabama. Elliott was up here in Tuscaloosa. 2 hours later, Elliott's knocking on the front door in Montgomery. And is like, what's going on? What do you need? What can I do? Did not leave my side for countless days. But that's the kind of man, the kind of friend he was. He said he came down here, he didn't know what was going on. He had an idea, but wasn't sure, but just dropped everything. And this is, we had jobs. I was 28 or 29. We had jobs. He dropped what he was doing and came to my side and did not leave until he was sure that I was going to be okay. So that will be the memory that I keep with me with Elliott, about Elliott forever. I guess the last thing that I think is kind of ironic, because Elliott would think this is funny, when he opened the brewery, the first time anyone, and Bo may contradict this, so if this isn't completely accurate, it's close. But the first time anyone tasted Druid City Brewing beer outside of friends and family before the shop opened was when Elliott brought a keg to my daughter's 1-year-old birthday party. That's a true story. That was the public unveiling of the DCBC wheat. And it wasn't as funny at the time to certain people as it is now. But if you're a dad or a guy and you've ever been to a 1-year-old birthday party, alcohol is a must. Other than that, I want you guys to know, my heart breaks. I know it breaks for you guys. Just everybody try to do the attitude that I've chosen to take when we're all hurting is it sucks that he's gone. We're going to miss him, but we are so blessed to have him in our lives for whatever period of time that was. Be it 40 plus years, be it 4 months, whatever it was, you're a better person for having him in your life. So that's it. To Elliott.
All right, I'll try and keep this brief. My name's Jackson, for those of you that don't know me. Elliott and I were brunch buddies, for better or worse, I guess. Something we can all agree on is Elliott loved a good meal, you know? Be it the finer points of cornbread and Southern cuisine or a nice good steak. And I really think that it's sad that we're all gathered here today, but it's just so profoundly awesome about the amount of people that are here. And, you know, it's like they said, Elliott was everybody's best friend. And the last time that we hung out, it was Kahabakyu in October. And we just got to drink and carry on and eat as much barbecue as our heart desired. And we were talking about, I'd been awake all night, and I'm gonna take a sip here. But I'd been awake all night at Kahabakyu, and Elliott showed up, and it was probably about 11 o'clock. And I woke up that morning, I'd been smoking meat all night, and I just could barely see. I was tired, I was hungover, but I had to get up and I had to serve people. And Elliott suggested I try and find a Moscow Mule because he heard that they were making some Moscow Mules around the corner. So we went over there, and it was a VIP only thing. And I said, Elliott, I don't think we can go in there. I only have a yellow bracelet. And he said, well, I mean, we look like some important people. Let's just go on in and see how it goes.
Closer to the back.
Oh, okay. All right. Closer to the mic, he says. All right. If you can't tell, I'm a little nervous about this. When Tom asked me to speak, I didn't really know what I could say that I don't think anybody else could say better. But I do know this. Elliott was so full of life and love and joy and happiness that there was plenty to go around for every single one of us. And if there's no other, proof of that fact, it's all of you gathered here today to celebrate him. And so all I think I can say is, here's to him. Cheers.
Prepared stuff, and then there was going to be a video, but if there's no video,
Hey,
Kelly, go.
you know me? All right, I got an elbow story. So, Elliott got wind that I like this beer called the Hop Slam. And, he all he liked to do is he just brewed beer in his garage all the time. And he got wind that I liked this beer, and he was like, hey, I can do that. I can make that. And I thought, no, you can't. This is a really good beer from up in Michigan, and they do it on the reg, and you can't mimic that. And he was like, no, man, I can do it. I can do that. So he says, I'll do it. It's no sweat. And he mimicked a keg of this beer. He made it. I mean, and he made it, and because I have a kegerator, and he made a keg of it for me for no reason, just because he liked to do it, just because he liked to make beer. And it turned out awesome. I got him, it was a beer that was made of honey, so I got him some local honey from people that had beehives around here. They made their own honey. He mimicked this beer, and I was so impressed and overjoyed just to the fact that he just wanted to do it. He didn't care about money. He didn't care about judgment. He didn't care about nothing. He was just happy to do it. And I dug that so much. And he was a cool dude, man. Elbow. Hell yeah.
Cheers. Thank you, Kelly.
Man.
I think we've aligned the satellites out of the way.
Hey guys, the outpouring of support has been one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, and I'm going to speak later, but I wanted y'all to know that through a dumb idea of me and Elliott going through a homebrew club and deciding that we wanted a brewery that wasn't just trying to cash in, but that wanted to be a part of the community, is while we're in this facility. Now, Elliott was way more than the fucking brewery. Pardon my French, everybody in the front row. He was way more than that. You know, he was a friend. Occasionally we would bicker like an old married couple, but we always still, at least like an hour later, told each other we loved us. But there are also people that couldn't be here tonight. And so we've done our best to align the AV satellites, and so we could have someone speak from afar. So if you'll bear with us for a minute, just to make sure, there'll be a couple of other things, and I appreciate y'all taking the time. So give us one quick timeout. There'll be several more cheers to somebody I cared about. I need to put my phone on airplane mode. I got that. Thank you, phone. But give us just 1 second.
Hey everybody, this is Steven. I am absolutely heartbroken that I'm in New Jersey in trial and not able to get to be with everyone to celebrate the life of our dear friend Elliott. I've known Elliott since our college days. I never knew that man to have a mean bone in his body. He's one of the sweetest, most loyal people I've ever met. One of the most genuine people. He's one of the good guys. And our lives are never going to be the same without him. Every time I think of him, I get more and more emotional. But I wanted to share a couple of things. You know, we regularly attended Alabama football games and sporting events together. He was a regular presence in my life, but also a regular presence in the lives of my children, specifically Brennan, my son, probably from second grade on. And for those of you who know Brennan, he, until he went to Auburn, was probably the most insufferable Alabama fan that I'd ever met, maybe other than Elliott. But he's 21 now, and we spent so much time with Elliott at the Grotto, at games, on the road. And I just want to share one last thing about that that just really encapsulates everything that Elliott means. when I shared the news with Brennan that we had lost Elliott, my son's response was, he could not have been nicer to me growing up. And this gets me in the feels every time I think about it. And I hope it does forever. Every time I think about Elliott, it just encapsulates everything about him and just how much I'm going to miss him and how much I think everybody else will too. I love all of y'all. And, please be strong. Thanks.
You done it.
Are you good? All right, so now, as far as I know, it's a time where we don't need sign-up sheet, we don't need order, we need nothing like that. Anyone who would like to say anything about Elliott, slowly make your way kind of over here, over here. We are grown-ups, we can take turns, everybody can do what they need to do. Any and everybody, until we run out of time, can say whatever they want to say. Let's go. All right, come on, Josh Thomas.
I'm not prepared to go first. Okay. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Josh. I've been kind of I used to be, before I had kids, kind of a bar fly here at Druid City Brewing Company since the beginning. And I was trying to remember when I exactly met Elliott. It was probably here, or, I was also a big trivia person. So it was probably between that, but I just wanted to share how Elliott kind of changed my life. After I graduated college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I graduated with a degree I didn't really want to use. And so for a few years after graduation, I kind of wandered, making money here or there. Elliott knew I liked trivia, knew I was okay behind a mic, and, we all know that was one of his many jobs was hosting trivia, and so he offered me one night to make a few spare bucks, and then it turned out that I was really good at it, and I ended up taking over a few of his shows that he did, like Will Hagen's, that I think was one of the biggest trivia nights. I'm also, I think, one of two people, including the sound man back there, that have lived at the Grotto. I lived for months at the Grotto, and I never want to admit that to anyone except outside this room. But I wouldn't have been able to do that except Elliott, kind of in the kindness of his heart, knew that I needed a place to crash and said, hey, I've got this game day place that is not being used. And he also, a few years, we were trying to move, my wife and I, we were trying to move back to Tuscaloosa, and we moved back, and I was still commuting to a job in Birmingham. And I ran into him here at Druid City, or across the street, and he said, hey, we've got an opening here at the Westervelt Company you'd be perfect for. Why don't you come apply? He got a nice $1,000 bonus out of it, but he didn't mention it. And so I got a job there, and then a few years later, he moved on to Alabama 1, and someone needed to fill his position as web developer, and he recommended me. And so I took that position, and so I just was kind of, when I heard about the news, each one of those decisions by Elliott was just, kind of a nicety at the time, but like taken in total, changed my life. And I thought I was the only one, but looking at this full room and all this line of people to talk, it's kind of amazing what kind of a person Elliott was. So, cheers.
Josh and I sort of had Elliott time. I met Elliott. We worked together at the Westervelt Company, and he changed my life. He would always kind of come over. I met him early in my time there, and sort of realized I'd found a kindred spirit. Somebody that sort of saw the world the same way that I did, and it just led to a lot of, he'd sort of amble over to mine and Josh's side of the house and sort of talk about politics and video games and movies and music and food. Oh my God, like Elliott, like he can tell like the real story about a meal. You know, you've eaten the meal by the time that Elliott gets done telling it. And we had hung out a few times outside of work, and just in passing one day, and I've told this story a million times to Elliott himself and anybody that would listen. Just in passing, I said, "Hey, Elliott, we should hang out more." And it was a week later. He had texted me. We kind of hung out, and that led to me meeting many of the people that are in this room, becoming close with those people, meeting my beautiful wife, Kelly. Literally, just that one single thing. And it was just something that he could have blew off in the moment. Oh, we should hang out more. But he took the time to do it, and it has truly led to the happiest years of my life. So I love you, Elliott.
My name is Greg Wyatt, and can you hear me okay? Okay. Elliott Roberts. Wow. Okay, this story, I'll make it brief, but my lovely daughter, Heather Wyatt, introduced me to Bo and Elliott at a place, as we love to know, the Grotto. Actually, we went to Will Hagen's for trivia, and Elliott was hosting there, and that's my first interaction with him. My daughter was gracious enough to let an old guy tag along. But as the years went on, and man, could he brew some damn beer. Anyway, him and Bo could brew some beer. But they would bring a keg of beer to the Grotto for game day, and they would say, "I don't think this is worth a shit, but if y'all want to try it, try it." Well, myself and my game day partner, Rufus Smith, we would drink as much of it as we could. And I'd be like, "Elliott, this is pretty damn good." He's like, "Nah, this is not a very good batch." I said, "Well, just leave it right there. We'll lean up against that brick wall there in that little bitty alley, and we'll drink it." And that's exactly what we did. Just a quick story with Elliott. Myself and my friend Rufus, who we've been attending Alabama games since 1986. Elliott and Bo, they were like, I didn't know either one of them that well, but Elliott was like, we got the cutest two old guys out here that are sitting against the wall and are always hugging and kissing each other on the cheek. And he said, "They're the cutest gay couple I've ever seen." So they came to me, and Bo's like, "Man, y'all are the cutest gay couple I've ever seen." I said, "Bo, I'm not gay. I have a daughter and a son, and this is my best friend from school." And he said, "Oh, okay. Well," so I was flattered, and my buddy was flattered, but that's how it all began, and many great years at the Grotto. But Elliott, the last social interaction I had with Elliott was on my boat, on my pontoon boat, a nice redneck pontoon boat, and he was phenomenal. He was always kind to me. He didn't care that I was 60 or 58 or what I was. He was just always kind and always conversational, and was always interested in what I wanted to talk about, which was music and Alabama football for the most part. But I'm going to miss the hell out of him. And Iron Maiden, absolutely. That's absolutely true. I'm going to miss him. I miss him right now. I was fine until the pictures came up on the screen. I feel like he's going to walk through the damn door any minute. But I'm just blessed to have him in my life for the time that he was there. And I'm going to miss him, but we're going to carry on. Look at this place. This place is full and of people that loved him. So we'll just keep pushing, and it'll all be good. And Elliott, I love you, and roll tide, my friend.
Honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't know the day I met Elliott. I couldn't even tell you. What I'm here to tell you about is this place he built for us and this family that he gave us, and like how indiscriminate it was the day I met him, because it didn't matter in the long term of who we were as friends. And this place that we have because of him. And truly, I think we traveled all over the world together. Anytime, I've heard this from several people, he would always pick up the phone. I live in New Mexico now. Anytime he would be in Colorado, he would pick up the phone and he'd be like, I know I'm 7 hours away. Will you come up? Sure. And we would have lunch together. We'd hang out. I'd be here and we'd always be here hanging out. I never thought I went to school here. Me and my family, none of that matters. It's contentious. But when I moved here and then I went away and came back, I found this place. And this place across the parking lot found me. And it was truly Elliott and it was truly Bo that they gave me a home and gave me something that was a special place to not only have friendship, but a family. And I'm sorry. Truly, Elliott was such a beautiful human being that, like what we've heard, it's absolutely true. No matter what you were talking about, no matter what you were doing, he wanted to listen to you. He wanted to be a part of your life. He wanted to always be engaged in what you were doing. And he always made you feel like you were truly a brother or a sister to him. And that is such a beautiful and rare thing to find. And to find something that he built us, he helped make this community. I mean, look around at who's here today. All of us. How many of us would be friends? How many of us would even know each other if it was not for this place in Alabama? I mean, it's truly a beautiful and wonderful thing that I can't quantify. And I don't know. In the last, whatever, I guess 5 days, I don't know how long it's been. I've heard two things more from everybody that I've talked to, and the two things that I've heard more are, I can't believe it, and God, he was an asshole. And you know, if you knew him, he was an asshole, but God, he gave us this place, and he gave us these feelings, and he gave us this family, and he gave us this life that truly lets us all love each other, remember each other, feel that each one of us is special. Even on the first day we met each other, the 100th day we've met each other, it didn't matter. He was always so happy to just see you, to give you a hug, to have a hug, to go to dinner. I remember the first time he sous vide a steak for me, and the man was so just ecstatic to sous vide something. Whatever. But he was just, there was my favorite football memory that I have of being over here was he was standing in the parking lot, and somebody who knows more about football than me can probably remember what it was. It was either the national championship or the title game, and we lost. And it sucked. And he took that pint glass, and I got a full beer, so I'm not going to do it, but he chucked it. And he almost made it. He almost made it over this brewery over here into the alley. And then when he didn't make it, what did we do? We went to the alley and peed together. And truly, roll tide. And truly, those are the things that you could have this friend who would go out of his way to buy you the best steak in the world and cook it in the best way in the world, make you this beer that you could have never thought that you could have from Michigan, to go and just care about your life and to give us and to give me this family, to give. When I look around here, the people that I know that I would never, in any realm of reality, have even said hey to. Cheers to Elliott. Roll tide to Elliott. Roll tide, and roll tide, man. Don't forget him when you drink this beer. Roll tide.
Elliott would be mad if everybody had to miss
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll make it quick, guys. Welcome, Druid City friends and family. I think it's already been said, but not a single person would be in this room if it were not for Elliott Roberts doing what he does best, which is bringing people together. I was there at the ribbon cutting when we opened up the new place with Bo and Elliott and Mo Fiorella, and I worked there for a decade. In the first few years, I took on the role as bar manager, which was an awful idea, and Elliott was against it the whole time. But I got Bo's permission. We called him Mom and Dad. You know, go to Dad for stuff or go to Mom for stuff when you wanted it, but you know, had to answer to Dad every once in a while. You know, the guy who's gonna bring down the hammer when he needs to. But after I stopped being a manager there, and after Elliott stepped away from the brewery in an ownership position, we actually started to become friends. We fought all the time before that, but we would talk about all kinds of nonsense. But one of the things I take away is like we had so much in common about loving deeply and love loss in the different relationships that we have. We've had all kinds of girlfriends and have loved them very much and have lost them and what all goes into that. And he just he loved so deeply, and he would get his heart so broken that he would come off as like this teenage boy who was just loved for the very first time. And in the moment, I felt like, God damn it, Elliott, get your shit together. We're grown. Like, we're big boys now. We're not lost boys anymore. We're lost men, right? That's right. But I thought about that more, and it's just because he loved so deeply, like he was loving for the first time. And that's something that I always want to continue to do with the relationships that I have and the people that are in my life. And so, to each and every one of you, thank you so much for being here, and cheers to Elliott.
Bob, thanks for stealing my story. No, I mean, I digress. I mean, I'm Bo Hicks. I was lucky enough to be a friend and a co-founder of Druid City Brewing. And the way it started is he hosted trivia, and he was our favorite trivia host, right? Because he was witty, he was smart, he liked enough old people Bo music, which even back then was starting to lose its tread. Oh no! Oh, there it is. Anywho, we had a wild idea, and our first business plan was on the back of a cocktail napkin. And our thing was that somebody would start a brewery in Tuscaloosa that didn't give a shit about the community, and both of us had been here long enough to know that we wanted to be a part. It's one of our mission statements has always been Tuscaloosa is not Athens or Austin, and I don't fucking want it to be. But what I do is I want to keep creative people here, and I want people to have their own way to make our community better, because Tuscaloosa was special to all of us. And so I set my pants on fire once brewing with him, and that was a great story. But also, a couple of my favorite stories is we were working on doing this, and an old podcast I had called Well, That's Cool, we were doing a concert with the Alabama Shakes to build a new house. And so those in here that know the grotto, that decrepit wreck of a building, I don't know how it stood. I only knew its last intern. So, it was even something our friendship led to, Brittany Howard from the Alabama Shakes playing there. It led to some of our loving, as Bob noted about lovingly, Lost Boys, which are brewery employees. But also, and I'm trying not to be someone, I've been known to be loquacious. So I'll do one more short story. Before we started the brewery, we wanted to go down. Like we were really jazzed about this whole thing, and we were like, okay, let's go down and help good people in Gulf Shores. Seems like a capital idea, right? So, we need to learn the ins and outs of this whole beer game. And so we get down there. It's rained so much that they've moved it to another location. So we're like, man, it's still cool. We got a condo. And so our friend Joe Stevens, henceforth little buddy, that'll come back in a little while, and decided to go with us. And so we did this beer fest, and we learned absolutely nothing. We poured beer for good people. We felt cool and stuff. And then me and Elliott decided that we were going to have a drinking Olympics. Game 1 was the breathalyzer at the beer fest. I won. And Game 2, as my wife Becky was driving us around, was putt-putt. I won. Game 3, and this was a horrible idea, was a 40-yard dash on the beach. And so about 15 yards in, I was like, I really think I got this old motherfucker. Chariots of Fire was playing. I was feeling really good about my speed. Look at me. That was a poor thing in my head. And then I just ate it, and there was sand everywhere. I mean, I'm talking any crevice a human has. Sand was there. But I got up like a champ. I congratulated him, shook his hand. And then the last game was darts, but there was so much gale force wind that the dartboards could have been here, and then you had to and just let the air turn it. And so we decided at the end of the day it's a draw. And so the next day we try to leave, and so many roads are flooded that Joe Stevens, who I know is, I'm not trying to single out Joe because there's so many old friends that love him. I love Tom. I'm working on it, Tom. Jesus Christ. We were trying to get out of Gulf Shores, and then the joke's gonna land, Tom. Jeez. It's like you don't even care. So, Joe is guiding us out because these are the hinder times, 12 years ago, but he has an iPad that has the data, whatever, fudge. And so he's guiding us out on his maps. And then we were like, Joe, what turn should we take? And he was like, oh, it's up here, over there. And then Elliott just looked at him and was like, henceforth known as Little Buddy. And so Little Buddy has been what Joe Stevens has been in my phone. And I've never referred to Joe as anything else other than Little Buddy. Now, I'm sorry, Joe. I know you're stature challenged, but it was apropos, and it just, it's one of the many things. I could go into many stories, but then it would be 45 minutes, and Tom would continue to get pissed off. But that was a little one that was just how apropos and how our humor got it. And as I've told everybody that I could, Druid City wouldn't be here if it were not for Elle believing in an idea of doing this. And I am eternally grateful. I didn't know him as long as so many people here, But what I did, I'm really proud to have been a part of just a tiny part of his life, and it brings me great joy. And also, the one time I told him, man, I met Tom Roberts selling M&Ms at the Bama Theater, and he goes, you know, that's my dad. And I was like, fuck.